I wonder, do you know the poem, The Hound of Heaven, written by Francis Thompson? It's long, and the language is sometimes hard to figure out, but it's worth looking up. Google it. In the poem, the heavenly hound is God, who created us with an infinite desire that can only be fulfilled by something that is infinite, which is only God, who pursues us until we, in our turn, pursue God. If we want to satisfy that desire, Jesus teaches, deny yourself what you want. Lose your self-serving life. Live instead for God and others. Odd as it may seem, there we will find happiness. Thompson didn't buy it. He associated God with an unhappy, unsatisfied life. And so he ran from God instead of to God. He became addicted to drugs. He lived on the street. He sought comfort with prostitutes. In the poem, he writes, I fled from those feet that followed after, but with unhurrying chase and unperturbed pace, deliberate speed, majestic instancy, they beat, and a voice beat, more instant than the feet. Nothing will satisfy thee, who is not satisfied with me. We heard in the first reading how Jeremiah wanted to flee from being God's prophet and from the doom and gloom message that God gave him to preach. But he couldn't. I grow weary holding it in, he said. I can't endure it. Paul, in writing to the Romans, tried to save Christians the trouble of learning the hard way, the Thompson way, the Jeremiah way, urging them, give to God what God wants from you, namely you, and then you will find fulfillment. Thompson and St. Paul would save us the trouble too. We, who, as Johnny Lee sang, are looking for love in all the wrong places, looking high and low, mostly low, for what will satisfy. In the end, fans of Thompson's poetry finally took charge of him, found him shelter in convents where he learned the lesson and kicked his opium habit and wrote his now famous poem. When we learn that anything short of communion with God fails to satisfy our infinite desire, then we'll hear God say to us the words that Thompson used to end his poem. All which I took from thee, I did but take, not for thy harms, but just that thou might seek it in my arms. Rise, clasp my hand, and come. Ah, fondest, blindest, weakest, I am he whom thou seekest.